legend of Jack O'Lantern. One night, Jack was in a tavern when a mysterious man came in. Jack invited him for a drink and managed to convince the man, who was actually the devil, to turn into a coin so Jack could pay his bill. The devil agreed, but in exchange, he wanted Jack's soul. Instead of using the coin to settle his debt, Jack kept it and carved a cross on it, trapping the devil. The devil pleaded to be freed, and Jack agreed on the condition that the devil would never collect his soul. Later, Jack encountered the devil again and tricked him into climbing an apple tree to pick fruit, also in exchange for his soul. While the devil was in the tree, Jack carved another cross in the tongue, trapping him once again. So they struck a deal. Jack would let the devil go if he promised not to take him to hell. However, when Jack died, his soul went to heaven, but God refused to let him in due to his sins. Then Jack went to hell, but the devil, true to his word, rejected him as well. Jack's soul was commanded to wander between heaven and hell, carrying a lantern made from a cord, searching for a place to rest. This tale is the origin of the tradition of carving pumpkins for Halloween.
The Weeping Woman. This legend tells the story of a woman named Maria who lived in a beautiful village. She was very happy and had 2 children whom she loved with all her heart. But one day her husband left her and Maria felt very sad and alone. In a moment of despair, she did something terrible. And when she realized what she had done, she was filled with sorrow and jumped into the river. Since then, it's said that the spirit of Maria, who now known as La Llorona, wanders by the banks of rivers and lakes, crying for her lost children. Her weeping is so sad that it can be heard on dark nights. People say that if you hear her crying, you should be careful because she is searching for her children and doesn't want anyone to suffer like she does. So whenever you hear a cry in the night, remember the story of La Llorona.
Hi, my name's Francesca Lagos, and the legend I'm about to tell is called the Candyman. On Halloween night in 1974, Ronald Clark O'Brien took his kids, Timothy, 8, and Elizabeth. Timothy, who was 8 years old, and Elizabeth, who was 5 years old, trick-or-treating in Deer Park, Texas. After visiting a dark house with no answer, O'Brien later rejoined the group with Pixie Sticks candies, claiming someone had handed them out. Timothy ate one before bed, but it tasted bitter. Less than an hour later, he was dead. Investigators discovered the candy was laced with cyanide. Suspicion fell on O'Brien when it was revealed he had taken out life insurance policies on his children and was deeply in debt. Further investigations uncovered that he had asked about lethal poisons and attempted to buy cyanide. He was convicted of his son's murder and sentenced to death. O'Brien was executed in 1984. This case sparked fears of Halloween candy tampering, though no similar incidents have caused a child's death since.
Legend has it that in 1950, the Iceland caretaker Don Julian Santana Barrera discovered the lifeless body of a drowned girl in the canal surrounding the island. The next day, he found a doll drifting down the canal. Believing it belonged to the girl, he hung the doll from the tree in her memory, and as a talisman to ward off evil spirits. Tormented by the incident and haunted by the spirit of the deceased girl, Don Julian began collecting these scared dolls to appease her restless soul. Over the years, he hung these dolls from trees and structures on the island, creating a surreal and unsettling environment.
The Dracula myth comes from a mix of real history and creepy folklore. The inspiration was Vlad the Impaler, a brutal 15th century ruler in the Eastern Europe known for impaling his victims. Centuries later, Bram Stoker turned his dark figure into the vampire of Count Dracula in his 1978 novel. In Stoker's story, Dracula is an undead, blood-drinking creature from Transylvania who can hypnotize, shapeshift, control people. He leaves his castle to find fresh blood in the England, spreading terror along the way.